In the 1800s, an evil witch tormented a family. For decades, strange things have happened around the world that we can't explain. From creepy sightings to unexplainable occurrences, some things simply defy logic. And sometimes all you can do is turn off the lights and hope it all goes away. But what if the darkness follows you even after you've turned on the lights? What if the darkness is something more sinister, something with a will of its own? In the 1800s, an evil witch tormented a family. For decades, strange things have happened around the world that we can't explain. From creepy sightings to unexplainable occurrences, some things simply defy logic. Sometimes all you can do is turn off the lights and hope it all goes away. But what if the darkness follows you even after you've turned on the lights? What if the darkness is something more sinister, something with a will of its own? Hi, welcome to this channel. And today we're going to look at the dark secrets of the Bell Witch haunting. Viewer discretion is advised for this one, as some of these events are quite disturbing. John Bell was a wealthy landowner in Adams, Tennessee. John lived on a large plantation with his wife Lucy and their 5 children. Life was good for the Bell family. Their farm was prosperous and their children were well taken care of. However, trouble would soon brew in the household. One day, while walking through the woods behind their home, John Bell came across a small cave. He decided to explore the cave to see what was inside. As he walked further into the cave, he noticed something strange: a small table with a book and a candle on it. The candle was still burning, and the book was open to a page that read, "This book belongs to the devil." Terrified, John Bell ran from the cave and never went back. It wasn't long before strange things started happening around the Bell family. Objects began moving on their own, and disembodied voices echoed around the house. At first, the family tried to ignore these strange occurrences, but they soon became more frequent and more intense. John Bell's daughter, Betsy, was one of the first to experience the paranormal activity firsthand. She was sitting in her room one night when she heard footsteps in the hallway. She looked out her door and saw a dark, shadowy figure approaching. Before she could react, the figure was gone.
You're watching Is It Real? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, unless you want to regret ignoring me.
Betsy told her family about her terrifying encounter, but they didn't believe her. They thought she had just imagined the whole thing. But Betsy insisted that she had seen a ghost. As time went on, the ghostly apparitions became more bold. They would walk through walls, move objects, and even interact with the family. One night, John Bell was awoken in the middle of the night by the sound of someone shaking him by the shoulder. When he turned to look, he saw the ghastly face of an emaciated old man. The man's eyes were wide and his skin was stretched tight over his bones. The man then reached out a finger and traced a line down Bell's throat, then disappeared. From that day forward, John Bell's health began to deteriorate. He became weak and frail and eventually died. His family believed that the ghost was responsible for his death. As the haunting continued, the spirits grew bolder and began interacting with the family in more significant ways. One day, young Betsy Bell was sweeping the floor when a spirit suddenly grabbed her broom and flung it across the room. Startled, Betsy dropped the broom and fell to her knees. The spirit then approached her and whispered in her ear, "Beware the ladder." Betsy didn't know what the spirit meant, but she knew she shouldn't ignore it. A few days later, Betsy was hanging out the wash when she heard footsteps on the roof above her. Looking up, she saw the distinct shape of a man climbing the ladder. As the man climbed higher, Betsy watched in horror as he slipped and fell off the ladder. She screamed for help, but no one could hear her. The man lay motionless on the ground, and when help arrived, he was found to be dead. Betsy's brothers, John and Albert, were skeptical of the ghost story. They thought that Betsy had made the whole thing up. However, when strange things started happening around them too, they began to believe. One night, Albert was writing at his desk when he heard chains dragging metal moans. Suddenly, the ghost of an emaciated old man appeared before him. The ghost reached out and clutched Albert by the throat, then dragged him towards the door. Albert screamed for help, but no one could hear him, and the ghost disappeared. When John and Albert told their mother what had happened, she was horrified. She knew that she had to do something to protect her sons. She went to the local church and asked the pastor to perform an exorcism in the house. The pastor agreed and soon arrived at the Bell house with a Bible in hand. As the pastor began reading from the Bible, the ghost became agitated. It rattled chains and shook the house, but the pastor continued reading.
Be sure to like, subscribe to Is It Real, and share this video. But if you choose to ignore me, well, let's just say you've been warned.
One day, little Betsy Bell went into the cellar to get some water when she heard a blood-curdling scream. Startled by the sound, she dropped the bucket and turned to run. As she ran, she felt something grab her foot and pull her down into the cellar. She screamed for help, but her cries were cut short as whatever had grabbed her dragged her further into the basement. Her body was never recovered, and her disappearance remains unexplained to this day. But perhaps the most disturbing incident of all happened during a Christmas gathering at the Bell House, according to those who witnessed the horror. A group of carolers showed up to the Bell House one Christmas Eve. As they stood outside singing, they noticed the doors and windows of the house begin to shake violently. And when they looked inside, they saw the ghostly figure of a woman shaking the bars of a window. The commotion attracted the attention of John Bell, who came to the door and invited the carolers in. He told them that the woman they had seen was the ghost of his deceased wife, and as a way of honoring her memory, he asked the group to sing her favorite song. But as they began to sing, the ghostly figure at the window began to shake the house once again. And this time, John Bell stepped aside and beckoned for the carolers to come and see something amazing. He opened the window and climbed through it. To everyone's astonishment, the ghost let out a blood-curdling scream and then vanished. When John Bell returned to the party, everyone wanted to know what he had seen on the other side of the window, and he described seeing nothing but darkness. However, when someone else went to look, they found nothing but cobwebs and dirt on the other side of the glass. From that day forward, the ghost of the Bell Witch seemed to take a special interest in the caroler's daughter. His name was Lucy. At first, the ghost would simply appear to her in her dreams, but then the visits became more frequent. The spirit would walk with her down the road, talk to her, and even eat meals with her. Lucy loved spending time with her new friend, and she shared everything that she learned from the ghost with her father. Soon, the two of them were spending every waking hour searching for the ghost. They would go for walks along the road, sit by the river, and wait for the ghost to appear. But unfortunately, the ghost only ever appeared to Lucy. Her father would beg the spirit to show itself to him, but it never did. As time went on, Lucy became convinced that the ghost was trying to tell her something. And eventually, the ghost revealed to her where it wanted to be buried. Lucy and her father dug up the spot and found an old shoe and a silver ring. They buried these items along with flowers and then prayed over the grave. From that day forward, the ghost was never seen again. It was said that the haunting was not over, but rather the ghost was now resting in peace. But this isn't the end of the story. In recent years, a man named Gregory McCullough claimed to be a direct descendant of the Bell Witch. He said that he had always known the family's land was haunted, but he didn't know the full extent of it until his father passed away and he inherited the property. Gregory was reading through his father's things when he came across a journal. In the journal, he found details about the Bell Witch and learned that the ghost had targeted him too. All throughout the entries, his father wrote about strange occurrences around the house. Some of the things that he described were happening to Gregory at the exact same time. To make matters worse, Gregory soon realized that the ghost seemed to be targeting his son too. There were even some instances where both Gregory and his son witnessed the same event. They both agreed to never return to that house. But even though they left, the ghost still appears to others who enter the house. Some believe that the ghost is simply a lonely spirit that just wants to be acknowledged. And if you're nice to the ghost, then it will be nice to you. Others believe that the ghost is pure evil and should be avoided at all costs. Some believe that the ghost is actually the devil himself. These people cite a passage in the diary of John Bell, where he describes the ghost of his wife levitating above the floor. Many believe that this is proof that the ghost is demonic, because the Bible tells us that only demons can levitate.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Is It Real? Also, I compel you to share your thoughts in the comment box below.
One of the most disturbing aspects of the haunting was the witch's apparent ability to possess the bodies of family members, particularly young Betsy Bell. The witch would allegedly use Betsy's body as a vessel, speaking through her and tormenting her until she became catatonic. It was during these times that the witch was at her most powerful, using Betsy's possessed state to curse the family and taunt them with visions of their own demise. As the haunting reached its peak, the family became desperate for help, turning to local preachers and even enlisting the aid of a traveling psychic named Andrew Jackson. However, none of these interventions seemed to have any lasting effect on the witch or her curses. The family remained under siege until John Bell's death in 1820, at which point the haunting seemed to lift. But the story doesn't end there. Witnesses to the haunting claim that the ghost of John Bell could often be seen wandering the property. Some even reported hearing the sound of gunshots, presumably from the murder most foul. So what exactly was the Bell Witch? Some believe that it was simply a case of poltergeist activity, while others believe that it was the manifestation of years of pent-up rage and despair on the part of Kate Bettys. There are even those who believe that the Bell Witch wasn't a witch at all, but rather a vengeful spirit of a Native American woman who had been wronged by John Bell. Whatever the truth may be, the Bell Witch remains one of the most terrifying and enduring stories in American folklore. A chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly idyllic communities. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about terrifying tales like this one, stay tuned for more content. Until next time.